Vernell Varnado served in the U.S. Army, 1st Cavalry Division, in Vietnam, in which he received 3 Purple Heart Awards. On arriving home, he moved to Los Angeles and in 1970 began a career with the U.S. Post Office. He worked 15 years in L.A. before transferring to Detroit, Michigan. Vernell worked on the west side at College Park Station Post Office and then at the east side Kensington Station Post Office. He delivered the mail door to door during the height of drugs and violence from 1985 to 1995, before retiring and returning to LA to be closer to his son. The Parkside Public Housing Projects is no stranger to Vernell. It was also the drug territory of Rob Boyd and the 430 crew. Vernell passed through there every day and even has stories about Chandler Park across the street. Vernell knew many people in the city, from the top to the bottom, and their families. He watched what was happening every day as he walked down those streets.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. This is Vernell Varnado, a.k.a. Papa Snoop, Snoop Dogg's father. I want everybody to know how everything got started. It really got started with Snoop's mom, Beverly. The day we put her to rest, and Rob, and Lieutenant Boyd, they do prison reform, and she was a board member on their board for 10 years. So what happened was, I was in a limousine, and I seen Rob and his wife walking back towards the vans. I had seen Rob, I really didn't know who he was. I met him twice. So I invited him and his wife to ride back to the compound with me. I told him it'd be a lot easier to ride with me. Instead of riding the van, you'll get in a lot quicker. So he jumps in the car, we take off. So first thing I asked Rob, I said, where you from, Rob? He said, I'm from Detroit. I said, I lived in Detroit for 10 years. I said, what part of Detroit you from? He said, the east side. I said, I lived on the east side. And how ironic, when I told him that I was a mailman at Kensington Post Office, and my route was Balford, Nottingham, Somerset, and Bakersfield, from I-94 Service Drive to Warren. That was his neighborhood. So we took it from there. So he gave me his number, I gave him mine. I said, let's stay in touch. So we started calling one another back and forth, got talking. And Rob sent me a resume, all the things he had did. He had a show back in Cincinnati called Keep It Real Show. All the rappers back in the day that was coming up the same time Snoop and my nephew Dash was coming up, they came through his show. I was impressed. And then I was telling Rob about my resume. So it was like, it was a marriage made in heaven. Because he did his thing, interviewing people. I did my thing on the road, working on videos with DJ Pooh, being in a couple movies, Rhymes and Reasons, Make It Rain, then All Eyes on Me, where I made the big screen. So we took it from there. This documentary is about me being a mailman in Detroit for 10 years. People don't realize you can get killed being a mailman. And during that time when I was in Detroit from 1985 to 95, it was drug infested. I started working on 8 Mile and Illinois at College Park Post Office for almost 4 years. I bought a house on the east side on White Hill in Yorkshire, not too far from Denman High School. So I transferred to the east side because Kensington Post Office was like about a 10-minute drive from my house. And that's when I began to realize that the east side of Detroit was a lot harder than the west side. West side, they had drug dealers, but they was here and there. East side was infested with drug dealers. Maserati Rick, Demetrius Holloway, Boogaloo Brown, all them guys, they all came from the east side. I'd heard the names, but hey, I'm brand new in Detroit. So me and my son, Snoop, we moved to my house in 1987 on White Hill. Snoop was working at McDonald's late Mountain in Woodingham. And just so happened, by the time school started, he went back to Long Beach. People don't realize that you got mail handlers, you got clerks, but the mailman is like infantry. We the foot soldiers. We the one to bring the mail to you, rain, sleet, or snow. And I mean that. I walked in a lot of stores in Detroit. I trained carriers in Detroit. I was all over Detroit.
Okay, let me get to when I first started delivering mail in Detroit. Okay, I started working on the west side on 8 Mile Illinois, and I noticed that Detroit had had a lot of hustlers. You had hustlers in LA, but LA it's much bigger than Detroit. So you had hustlers here and there. But when I got to Detroit, I seen hustlers all the time. Seen car thieves, most drug dealers. I noticed that Detroit been known for drug dealers. West Side, they had drug dealers, here and there, who went where. But when I transferred to the East Side, and the reason why I transferred to the East Side because I bought a house on the East Side, and that's when I began to realize that the East Side was a lot harder than the West Side. The East Side had the real drug dealers. Okay, I don't want to call them names, but I seen drug dealers every single day for 6 years, and I noticed that around Ballport, Somerset, Nottingham, and Marlboro, and Alta Road, a lot of drug dealers had stash houses. Parkside housing projects full of drugs. 430 crew. Okay, I knew about Miles Rodriguez. I knew him personally, and a few other guys that I knew. They all dead now, but they rest in peace. But I noticed that all the drug dealers would hang out at Skateland on Alta Road. Then you see them at UBQ. Okay, but they would have every day I'd be walking. The police was always coming out. The FBI, either ATF would always be coming on my route. Most of the carriers that on the east side, especially around Balfour, Somerset, Nottingham, Warren, going down towards Parkside Project. That's really most of them was. They look further down, and they would come out showing me pictures. Oh, do you know this guy? Some of them I knew, but I'm saying to myself, this is my route. And I told this one FBI agent, man, this is my route. They paid me to carry a bill, not to be an informant. That's what you want to do. Go to the post office, pay $1 for address search, and try to find out where they are. I knew them, yeah, but I wasn't gonna tell them that I did know them. This was like all the time. This was like all the time. I would see cops go to drug houses and collect money and walk out and take off. And I'm knowing you collect money from your drug dealers. So you give them a green light. I've seen people on my route that was on crack, and the drug dealers is on the next block, and they would be waiting on their welfare check, they was waiting on their disability check. I give you an incident with this one guy. Never forget his name was Leon. I forgot Leon's last name. I don't know if he's still alive or not. One morning it was check day. You know when check day come, because everybody was waiting on their check. But I knew 35, maybe 40% of my route, people was on drugs. 35, 40% of my route, it was drug dealers. But I knew them and they knew me. But they seen I was cool, period. Some was selling heroin, some was selling blow, some was selling weed, some was selling all three of them. My thing was, as one cat on my route, he had just got out of the Navy, he had a plug in San Diego, you know, he always give me some good weed and stuff. But the coke dealers, I didn't fool with that mess, right? So I'm looking at these girls on my route that had good jobs and everything, and I would see a drug man sometime, if they paying this money, they would come check them. One thing I do know about drug dealers, when you get paid, you're the first one you should pay. Before you buy your groceries, before you pay your car note, before you pay anything, especially if you got a habit. And these drug dealers want their money. And the drug dealers in Detroit, like I said, it wasn't like LA where they had a drug dealer here and there across town. They come in droves here. They was coming in droves back in the 80s. This is the 80s. And I mean, with drugs all over the place. Guys dealing with the Colombians, guys dealing with the Latinos. I knew a whole bunch of drug dealers. I don't want to call them names. They tried to get me to I had a landscaping business on the side to get me to put drugs and leave my lawnmowers and take them from one spot to another, but I refused to do it. I seen drug dealers on the east side that didn't pay the Escobar or whoever they was dealing with, and thought that homeboy couldn't find out where he was and found him, and a couple of them got shot and paralyzed down there. So, and the bad part about it, by me being a street person, I'm a street person already. But I was walking the streets as a mailman. In the daytime, at night, I was hanging out with these guys. And the reason why I hung out with them because I knew they had money. They was cool as hell. I never got in their business, but I knew I hung around them. I was gonna have a good time. I was gonna have some of the finest babes in Detroit. But that's how these drug dealers was in Detroit. Some drove flashy cars, some was low key. Some had, okay, the ones who had stash houses, they would have a big pit bull, maybe 1, 2 pit bulls on their front porch with a tow chain, just in case the police come. And they had a booby at the back door. So I'm knowing this drug house, right? But they live someplace else, but I saw them roll around every day, collecting their money. And these young cats, but they was making money. I knew a few guys, I'm not gonna call their names, I was working with. They was making more money selling drugs than it was at the post office, but they had an ID number. Okay, you got two kinds of drug dealers. You had two kinds of drug dealers in Detroit. You had the kinds that did it full time. You had the kinds that had a job and did it on the side. I had somebody doing it for them while they was working, just in case some shit went down. At least they had a job. So that you order to detect when you got a job. Being a drug dealer, then you was out there dealing drugs every day. Like dealing drugs every day, you driving around in a nice car, you always cleaning stuff. All you doing is setting yourself up for the police or setting yourself up to get killed by somebody that's jealous of you because you're selling drugs. But that's how Detroit was. People was getting killed left and right. Okay, I mean, turning news on. I think from 88, I think from 87, right on up into the 90s until I retired, they was killing drug dealers left and right. And I didn't realize how deep it was, even though I was around it all the time. When this is when I started seeing these documentaries, Best Friends. I started seeing all these guys who was friends once upon a time, and they going against one another. 4 or 5 people getting killed in one day. I'm seeing all this stuff, and I sat down and thought about it one day. I said, here I am. I'm caught up in the middle of this shit. I'm out there every day around these guys. But I never got caught up in a shootout. I got caught up in one shootout on the west side, but never on the east side. All those guys loved me to death because they had parents, they had moms and dads, and I took care of their moms and dads. But they all respect me. Hey man, what's up? They call me like, what's up, LA? You know what I'm saying? They knew I knew what they was doing, but I didn't give a shit. Okay, I was telling them, man, make all you can. Okay, because the world's illegal anyway. The United States was taking illegal, so why not be illegal with it? Just be careful. Period. I mean, I didn't give a shit. My thing was, as long as you give me some weed or give me some blow for my girlfriend, okay, and being cool with me at the club, you see me, man, hook up LA, send him a drink. I've sent a babe over, you know what I'm saying? So I had fun. But like I said, to each his own. But I have nothing against drug dealers. Drug dealers wouldn't be drug dealers if they didn't have people on drugs coming to them. Think about it. If you're a drug dealer, you're not forcing people to buy drugs for you. They buying drugs for you because they got a habit. They're immune to the shit. So I don't knock drug dealers. And once again, make all you can. Drug dealers gonna always be around. Cocaine gonna always be around. Heroin gonna be around. Weed gonna be around. But like I said, you got some of the big drug dealers in the world you will never see. Huge, probably making millions of dollars every day. The ones, smart ones, they low key. You can never know about it. The ones that stupid, they're the ones that get busted. I seen them all. I mean, I could be one of the biggest drug dealers in the world right now. You never know it. But like I said, once again, you got two kinds of drug dealers. You got the ones that's dumb as fuck. You got the ones smart as hell. That you would never know they're dealing drugs. Because they low key, they smooth and everything. So I seen it on both sides. And don't forget, you got a lot of women out here in Detroit, they was doing the same shit. Don't let them fool you, okay? And I knew a bunch of them. I'm not gonna call their name. And I hope they all made millions, but I hope they did something with their money. So that's how Detroit was back in the day, man. My first move to Detroit, it was non-stop, period. Every day when I was walking my route, I seen drug dealers every day. I knew what they was doing. They treated me real nice because their parents lived on my route, and they knew I took care of their parents. So I was a mailman during the daytime, but on the weekends I was hanging out with these guys. Skate Land on Alta Road, UBQ on Van Dyke. They would see me, especially at UBQs, and they would always take care of me. That's mailman in LA. Take care of them. I'm it's like this with me. I never knock what people do. I knew these guys was getting money, okay? When I lived in LA, it was drug dealers, but LA is a much bigger city than Detroit. It's a metropolis, but the drug dealers in Detroit, they was making so much money they had counting machines. And when the ATF or the FBI would come out there and
On my route, it was like I said, this is the east side. This never happened on the west side. And show me pictures and ask me, do you know this person, that person? Yeah, I know him, but this is my route. And I told one FBI agent, I'm getting paid to deliver mail, not to be a snitch. I was telling him, go to the post office, because back then the post office, you paid $1 for ads to search, try to find people. But I had a good relationship with everybody on my route. I've seen women out there that would take the whole check and neglect their kids and buy crack from the crack man, because the crack man was probably the next block over, okay? And I saw them every day, okay? Most of them would do business from their house. Most of them was connected to the cartel. Most of them would tell me what they was doing, but they knew I wasn't going to say nothing. And most of them, like I said, they knew they was ruining lives, but my thing is like this. You cannot blame the drug dealers for ruining people's lives or getting people on crack. You blame yourself, because they had all kinds of signs up saying, don't smoke crack. Okay, they gave you warnings. I got family members who was on crack, and I told them, man, I said, I don't feel sorry for you. They got signs all over the place saying don't do crack. I had more women on my route that was on crack than men. One had college degrees and stuff, and they got on welfare, and I feel sorry for their kids. And the worst thing that I ever seen on my route that broke my heart when I would see social services come by and take these crackheads' kids, and their kids screaming and hollering, they want to leave their mama. And sometimes I would break down in tears because I know them all. I watched kids grow up. I watched kids grow up to be crack dealers. I watched kids grow up to get up, be on crack. I watched kids up to get and saw kids get killed. Okay, when I was a postman in Detroit, Michigan, it was a completely different world than L.A. Period. Because L.A. people are isolated. Detroit is like, it was more family orientated, but it had a different swag. It was more fast moving. But a lot of drug dealers got killed. Like I said, Maserati Rick, Demetrius Holloway, his mom worked at the post office. Boogaloo Brown, I can go on and on and on. I remember when I first got to Detroit, there's some guy named Frank Nitty. They say he had cut somebody's heads off or whatever. But this time I'm beginning to realize that Detroit had foot soldiers. I did an interview for this lady called China Doll for my producers in Arizona, and she was telling me, "Oh, Detroit got." Now the first thing she said, "Oh, my brother is addicted to Detroit, so he has to be in Detroit." And then she said, "Oh, Detroit got gangs like LA got gangs." So I corrected her on that. I was China Doll. I said, "LA got gangs." I said, "If you start making money, the whole neighborhood, you got to take care of the whole neighborhood." I said, "Detroit got foot soldiers," and she asked me, "What you mean?" I said, "Detroit, you might see a bunch of drug dealers together, but they they got their own people that they're dealing with. They're gonna chop it up for a minute, but they go their own separate way." I had a chance to talk to White Boy Rick. Spend 3 hours with White Boy Rick. I saw him twice in my neighborhood before he got locked up. He was just a kid when he got locked up. I remember when he got locked up. Now I remember when his dad got locked up. I think it's about some guns or whatever. But I was telling my son Snoop that the Carey boys live right down the street from me on White Hill. Matter of fact, Rick brought it up. He said, "Man, you know Little Man and Big Man." I said, "Yeah." That's what I saw. Yeah, but by me being around White Boy Rick for 3 hours and listen to him, he's well educated. He's definitely street. He's definitely been around blacks. He act like us. Okay, he really, really do. But I like him because he has a heart. Okay, he done spent 32 years of his life in prison. He came out. He never skipped a beat. And I met a couple of boys that did time in prison, and all these guys have changed. They have changed their life around. They did a 360, but they trying to help the kids, man. And I want to thank my boy Ralph for introducing me to him, because they came up together. And now I see, like they got an old saying, game recognized game. I can talk to a person 15, 20 minutes and tell whether you got game or you ain't got game. I can talk to a person 15 minutes and tell whether you have traveled and you ain't haven't traveled. I'm worldwide myself. I've always been that way from a kid. I've been around the world a zillion times. Okay? I know people like the back of my hand. But being a mailman, you get educated. I have a PhD in the street, okay? Because you're a mailman, you meeting all kinds of people. Some of the smartest people I ever met was people who once upon a time was somebody got on crack, and then when you talk to them, you can tell they was educated, but they got on crack because drug is a weakness. Okay, some people can get off of it, some people can't. But I've seen every facet of drug users, drug dealers. You got two kinds of drug dealers. You got the smart ones, just low key. Okay, they feel when they feel it's time for them to just get out in the game with enough money and move on, they move on. The ones that didn't do it, they got greedy. Like I call it the American greed. You have made $4 or $5 million, but you still want more money. You stay in the game too long, and that could be dangerous. And don't forget, when you're a drug dealer, you got haters out there. You got one drug dealer that's not making what you're making, and you making more. Two things are gonna happen. Either he's gonna have you blow it away, or he's gonna go to the police and snitch on you. So I seen all that. And everybody who watches this documentary, I'm Snoop Dogg's father. I'm a real G. I'm worldwide. Okay? I don't miss nothing. Okay? I'm very educated when you come out to the street. I walked the streets for 25 years. Okay? But while I was walking the street, I was a mailman. Plus, I was sucking in knowledge from old and the young. And let me say this to all you young people out there: stay off drugs. Okay? Enjoy your life. Like my dad would always tell me, you only get one shot at the Jolly Green. Jolly Green is the planet Earth. Make the best of it. That being said, the ones who trapped in the hood, I hope you make it out.
Now that being said about the drug dealers, 36 years later, I meet one of the biggest ones out of the Parkside Projects that had my son's mom on his board. And when I met him, I never knew that he was the biggest. But when I said you got the smart ones and the dumb ones, he is the smartest one. He's a goddamn genius. Okay? And it's a pleasure to meet him. He's my godson now. His wife is my goddaughter. But I love both of them. But I never thought in my wildest dream I would meet the biggest one. And I met him. I had met him twice. Each night it seemed like he was so humble. But he was a sleeping giant. From the Parkside Projects. The real G. Okay? These guys, he's kind of, that I would say, that some of these young drug dealers, if you got that dealing drug, you take some damn notes, man. Because at the end of the day, I said, I never known that he was one of the big drug dealers. And I was running around his hood all the time for 6 damn years. I probably saw him. We talked about it yesterday. I probably seen my boy. I had to see him. Ain't no question about my I did see him. But I just knew who the hell he was. But one thing he said, God has everything planned. It was planned for me and him to meet 36 years later. But it's hard to believe that now he's doing my documentaries. He's one of the came up with the Detroit mailman. But like I said, got two kinds, the smart ones and the dumb ones. But he's a genius. That being said, I want to thank everybody for watching this documentary. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, Papa Snoop. The man who made that guy named Snoop Dogg. Okay? That being said, I'm out.